what's up, Speedy's Garage gang? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. Boy, the rumor mill is on fire this week. But first, I want to show you guys where we're at with the supercharger project. Everything is cleaned up. Remember how dirty this blower lid was? Look at that. Clean. Yep, I cleaned it with a toothbrush. Sure did. Not gonna lie. I don't feel bad about it either. Now that I know everything, I even cleaned the bolt heads. Cleaned those with a toothbrush too. OCD, blessing and a curse. The cooler bricks are cleaned out. They were kind of a lot more oily than I would have liked for them to have been. And when I actually get this 2.7 liter blower back, oh, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link to the top to where we are. Ended up getting having a red eye 2.7 liter supercharger, complete sensors, bypass, fuel rail, injectors, everything just fall in my lap. I sent it off to SDG Motorsports for a rebuild. More on that later. He actually emailed me and said, hey, are you sure you want to pay to have this thing rebuilt? It looks good to me, and everything did. I mean, from visually inspection and all the turning it, you saw that in the previous video if you've been following along, everything looked great. He found something. He found something bad. So not quite what either one of us had expected, but it's on its way back. It's already finished. It's back better than new, exactly what I wanted. Still met my budget. It's on its way back, and when it gets back, I'll show it to you, and I'll tell you what he actually found, Jesse over there, and show you some of that. But anyway, all the parts are cleaned up and ready to go back on it. Obviously, I'm not going to reuse this factory pulley. The coupler system in it has obviously failed, and that's part of what we found, or he found, when he started kind of digging deeper into it. Good news is all the timing and tolerances and everything else were perfect, so all that was good. Today we're going to talk about some rumor mill, and this 909 horsepower, I'm hearing it might not even be called a Hellcat. I'm guessing it's probably going to be called a Hellcat, that's supposed to come out for the last year of the V8s and everything for model year 2023. It's pretty interesting. I'm hearing E85, which probably means, or definitely means, flex fuel. And you guys know I run flex fuel and Go Man Go over here, and it's got some interesting and very performance potential. So let's talk about it. So the rumor is there's this 909 horsepower. I'm going to call it a Hellcat because I honestly think if they're doing something, that's the platform it's going to be on. And I think they're going to do a Charger and a Challenger if they do it, because it wouldn't make any sense to only update one or the other. The rumors are going to be limited. I hope they're not, because personally, I just hate that limited edition stuff. One time in my life, I bought a limited edition vehicle. It happened to be a motorcycle at the time. It was a Honda CBR 1000. They came out with a Repsol edition, and Repsol happened to be the Spanish oil company that sponsors Honda in MotoGP. And so the reason I bought it is because it had this really cool paint job. And I'll put a picture in it here. I mean, the thing was awesome, had plenty of power, but every time I rode it, I was scared to death I was going to scratch it or drop it or something happened to it. And it was one of, I think, 1,400 made or whatever, some limited edition number. I didn't pay more for it because of that. I finagled a deal on it, and when they first came out, they weren't sure if they were going to be popular or not. So they thought the paint job might have been a little too dramatic for some people. So I ran in and grabbed it real quick because I'd been following MotoGP already, and I knew what it was. I went in and bought it and got it, less than sticker price. But eventually they did go up a little bit. But I was always worried to death that if I took it somewhere and was riding it, I dropped it or whatever, I would ruin its value somehow. And to get parts for it, it was very similar to the Demon. If you scratched it or you needed a new body panel or whatever, you had to provide your VIN number to the dealership in order to get a replacement part, an exact OEM replacement part. So long story short, I ended up selling it a few years later. I didn't get any more for it, I don't think, because it was a Repsol edition bike or whatever. But that was the one time I actually had some kind of limited edition vehicle, and I just didn't enjoy it because I felt like it's a collector item and whatever. And so I'm hoping when they come out with whatever this is, I can't imagine they're going to build a ton of them. They can't even seem to get jailbreaks out the door right now. And that was supposed to be like a big deal where you could go in custom orders. It was kind of a cool marketing idea, right? Like you could go in and literally order the exact options you wanted, very similar to like you could do back in the 1970s. You didn't have to pick from a package. If you wanted yellow brakes and a purple car and red interior, you could get it. And so they're having trouble getting them out the door for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a parts problem or distributor problems or chips problems or whatever the case may be, but that's been a challenge. So I hope all of that's behind us by the time we're into 2023. We can all say a prayer and cross our fingers, but I hope they produce whatever this thing is going to be in quantity that doesn't make it limited where there's all the crazy dealer markups and all the other stuff that happens. Probably wishful thinking, but hey, I can hope. Bottom line is the rumor is that it's going to be able to run on E85, and as a result of it being able to run on E85, it's going to have 909 horsepower. Honestly, I'm going to make my predictions. I think that's a little low. The reason I say that is I've been running E85 in Go Man Go here, and I know what it's capable of. I've been fooling with it for a couple of years, and it's an amazing, amazing fuel. I'm going to speculate that you get a 6.2 liter high output engine in whatever this thing's going to be, because they're stronger and they can take more RPM. I'm also going to speculate that it's going to have the 3 liter IHI supercharger on it. They already have them. The development's already done. Anytime as a car manufacturer you can sort of reuse parts, it's win-win because you've already done development work. So now you can kind of take it and enhance it, and with a little bit of engineering effort without having to go manufacture parts and do a bunch of testing, the manufacturing processes and all that, you can start to do something, right? So you put a 3 liter supercharger on top of the 6.2 liter high output motor, and then all they have to do is enable flex fuel on it, which all manufacturers today, right now, make flex fuel vehicles. It was always kind of a mystery to me on why they didn't have flex fuel on these from the factory, from the get-go, from 2015 and up. I mean, it would have been super easy. Maybe they wanted to do things in stages. And the thing you got to remember is, we get to see these cars brand new in 2023. Well, the development and the product, the teams that were putting this idea together, it's probably 3 or 4 years ago. So a lot has happened in 3 or 4 years. Stellantis has bought out Dodge from FCA, and SRT's been dissolved into Stellantis, and all of those kind of unfortunate things, in my opinion, have happened. And so that team would have been working on this 3 or 4 years ago when it was still Dodge and still SRT. And so all that development work, they're probably now wanting to reap the return on investment for all that stuff, right? The problem is they have to get it to pass EPA regulations, and the way the regulations get tighter, and that's one of the reasons the V8s are unfortunately going away on these cars. I'm sure if Dodge had their way, they would keep making the V8 and the Hellcat, but these continually restrictive EPA requirements for fuel mileage and all of that, they have to pay credits, and it costs a ton of money. And if they try to pass that down, and we're already paying a a gas guzzler tax on these cars as it is. Well, people aren't going to pay a $20,000 gas guzzler tax, right? Or at least most people won't. So they're kind of between a rock and a hard place. So they did this development, I'm going to suspect, a few years ago. Let's say 3 or 4 years ago. They knew they could get a lot more out of these high output engines. I mean, mine, I don't know how much horsepower it makes, but it's running 140 in the quarter mile. Demon claims what, 840, and they run like 138, so we're right in that range. So you're almost to 909 already. Well, they came out with these, or they announced those direct connection kits, the stage kits, and I haven't talked about that, but I do have some content I'm going to make on that because I've got some thoughts on that too. The stage 2 red eye kit gets you a 3.17 pulley, which adds 2 pounds of boost. So if it's 14 from the factory, you add 2 pounds, you get 16, so 16 pounds of boost out of the 2.7 liter red eye supercharger on the red eye engine, and a race gas tune. That's what the stage 2 is, which means 100 octane to Dodge. Dodge considers 100 octane race gas, which is about right. You can get more than that, but 100 is pretty good. You get 885 horsepower. Well, through talking to tuners and seeing some cars on the dyno, watching them being tuned and all of that, a degree of timing in the timing map is worth, depending on where it is in the RPM range and how close you are to maxing it out, all of that stuff, but let's call it an average of 12 horsepower. So 1 degree of timing is worth 12 horsepower. E85, in my experience, has been able to handle more than MS 109, or I'm sorry, Renegade 109, 109 octane race fuel. I use the Renegade brand. I ran their 109 product for a long time. I think the actual octane is 103 or 105. I can't remember. I now run their E85, Renegade's E85 product at the track with my E85 tune, and I have realized a pretty significant difference on the E85. So it is better than unleaded race gas, and certainly better than 100 octane that Dodge would have planned for on the direct connection stage 2 kit, and better than the 100 octane the Demon was originally designed to run on its race PCM. Okay, so you get E85 in the tank, all you need are 2 more degrees of timing, and you got 24 more horsepower. Well, there you go, you're at 109, right? So, I mean 909, you're at 909 horsepower. That's too easy. And if it's the final, last hurrah of the high horsepower supercharged V8, I think Dodge would go farther than that. So now here's what I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. And this is completely my speculation. This all started when a friend of mine who is in the know, he's in the business is what I'll call it. He pinged me back, man, it was probably, I don't remember, March, maybe February. And he said, something's coming from Dodge and you will be impressed. And I said, not the electric car. He said, no. He said, you will be impressed. And he knows me very well. I then had another friend of mine get the same type of story from one of his connections. And so when those stories start to line up, you got to realize there's something probably happening. And now these rumors are all coming out. My prediction, here it goes. I think they're going to do the 6.2 liter high output motor. I think they're going to do the Hellcat 3.0 liter supercharger. Hellcat engine, that's done. I'm confident of that. It couldn't meet the stricter EPA standards. That's why it's only being sold as a aftermarket part. And, race only or off-road only or whatever you want to call it. Aftermarket part or in a car that's older or whatever, doesn't have to meet emission standards, I don't know. But they're only going to sell those, if you can even find one, as an aftermarket part. So don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be the 6.2 liter high output motor with the 3 liter Hellcat supercharger on top. It might have a 3.1 pulley. They might actually develop a smaller one to get even more boost out of it. What if they took the Hellcat supercharger up to, let's say, 18 PSI? So now you're getting 18 pounds of boost from a 3 liter supercharger, okay? That's gonna make significant horsepower. Now you put it on flex fuel, which means you're up to the tank, you got 91 or 93, you put that in the tank, the PCM detects that, similar to how my flex fuel tune works in my car. It dials the power back. It can do it 2 ways. It can do it through a timing table, which is how my car works, but if Dodge got really slick and it wouldn't be that hard to do, they could also control the bypass valve. So that if you went wide open throttle, you don't get as much boost, right? The bypass valve in these cars is from I think a 4-cylinder car. It's a throttle body actually, and they can control it electronically, so they can start to crack that open. And that's actually how the red key and black key work. There's a table for the black key that limits the amount of boost, and in my car it's set to like 5 or 6 PSI, and then under max, red key power, I get 17. It's exactly how it works. Well, now if they could tie that into the flex fuel table, now you got something, right? As the octane goes up, or the E85 alcohol content goes up and the car can detect that, so does the boost. The bypass starts to close more and more and more until you get full performance 18 PSI from a 3 liter supercharger. That would be super slick. And for areas like where I live, E85 is everywhere. I've got 3 or 4 E85 fuel stations within 2 or 3 miles of my house, so that would be phenomenal. The only thing I'm wondering about is that E85 availability. That is not everywhere. So you go other places and they can't get it at all. So they end up having to order it in 55-gallon drums or whatever. But if they made it flex fuel, would it really matter? You just wouldn't be able to get the max performance unless you were willing to find E85 and stick it in the tank. So that's what I think it's going to be. 6.2 liter high output engine, 3 liter Elephant supercharger with probably a little bit smaller pulley on it than the 3.17 I think that it comes with. Let's call it, maybe they go to a 285. That might be what they do. And it'll be flex fuel. And if you put full E85 in the car, I don't think it's gonna be 909. I think it's going to be 1,009. So you heard it here first. 1,009 is the Speedy's Garage prediction on whatever's coming out in 2023. And supposedly, we're going to hear about it in the middle of August during the cruise, the Dream Cruise and Roadkill nights. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedys_garage, as well as the website, www.speedysgarage.net. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about the prediction. And if you have one of your own, I'd love to hear it. I hope I'll see you out there.